Any views or opinions expressed in interviews or commentary are those of the individual speaking and do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the Shakedown Paranormal Podcast or any of its affiliates or employees. And it's scary, so viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy.
Hey guys, it's Shakedown Paranormal Podcast with your hosts.
I'm Mike.
And my name is Kirsten. Coming to you from Carroll County, Maryland, the Carroll County Detention Center. Our sheriff is
James DeWeese.
We are extremely thankful to have such a supportive sheriff, getting us started into what we're extremely excited to share with all of you guys that are listening. So,
Indeed.
and it's because we're learning
Yeah, and I'm sweating really bad.
in the process. So, just bear with us. We just wanted to get kind of a familiar, idea of what we want to go into and give you guys an idea of what we're going to be providing in each of our episodes. So, go ahead and start.
Alright, I'll start. My name is Mike Andrews. I'm from Maryland. Went to high school here, went to college. I joined the Army in 2004. I was an infantry soldier for about 8 years. I did 2 deployments overseas in Iraq, and then when I was PCSing, when I was getting out, I was looking for a job, and the only place that would hire vets at the time, a buddy of mine told me, was in corrections, and that at that point I had no idea what corrections did. I mean, I know getting locked up, you go to jail. I didn't know what a correctional officer does. I didn't know any of that shit. So, long story short, 2012, I got an interview for this place. It's Carroll County Detention Center. It's located just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And I've been here ever since. And that was 13 years ago.
It had to be frustrating, not, having a place to go after getting out of the military.
Yeah, it sucked. But I think it was good in the long run. Corrections, I think, was where I was supposed to be. I don't think I was supposed to be anywhere else.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's not one of those careers that you just set out
No.
to be a correctional officer or correctional deputy.
No.
It's something that I feel like everyone kind of falls into.
I think too many people come in here and think that they can do it and wind up washing out
Yeah.
pretty fast.
Yeah, and it doesn't even take long to figure out whether it's for you or not.
Fun story. I didn't know we had to do strip searches. I didn't know that was a thing until my second day here. And they were like, hey, search this guy. And I'm like, okay, pat search. They're like, oh, no. Go in that room, and he's going to take all his clothes off. And you're going to, I'm like, oh, okay, this is uncomfortable. But, yeah, it's definitely part of the job. And it's awkward for everybody involved.
And it's hard to relate to society, I feel, because our terminology and the things that we're exposed to on a daily is so different from normalized society that relating to somebody for their normal life struggles during the day is not the same for our struggles.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
even a pat search, somebody wouldn't even know what a pat search is without explaining it. So generally it's just patting somebody down from head to toe in search of contraband or drug possession or anything of sorts that they could introduce into the facility that they're not supposed to have on them.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you start?
Well, I'd say it's the same as how you kind of fell into it. It was definitely not something I was set out to do. I had no idea what it was to even be a correctional officer. I knew that when you got arrested, you went to jail, but that was like the extent that I knew. And the most I knew about jail was that movie. What was it? What the heck was that movie? With Tom Hanks.
The Green Mile?
Yeah, the Green Mile. That's all I knew about jail, like, which is obviously not realistic in any sorts of mean. I grew up in southern Pennsylvania, and I got out of high school in 2013. I, from there, started in a field working with individuals with intellectual disability, like schizophrenia, split personality disorder, cerebral palsy, anything, like you name it, I was exposed to, which I was not at all prepared for. Because again, it was one of those fields you just kind of fell into. And I was in that field for a little over 6 years. And then from there, I moved, had some changes in my personal life, and needed a job. And a friend of mine suggested for me to go and get a job at a correctional facility that I, unbeknownst to me, had no idea even existed in the area that it was in. And started there in 2019, and I was there until 2022. I got pretty burned out after COVID, just working 16 hours nonstop. So I took a brief break, thinking that I could try something new. And I did painting for about 2 weeks, and absolutely hated that. Yeah, so just I don't know, painting at houses, commercial, you name it.
That's cool.
It was fine, but it was definitely not for me. So then I thought, you know what, why not try electrical? Which obviously was also not for me. So after that, I kind of just fell back into uncertainty of not knowing what I wanted to do, and seeing that Carroll County was hiring.
Did you get electrocuted?
No, nothing like that.
That would have been rad.
But from there, I ended up here, and I've been here since last year, 2023. I believe I started in May. So, just kind of fell right into it again. But it's definitely been completely different working for Carroll County.
Yeah.
And a sheriff that values and cares.
Yeah, he definitely gives a shit about everybody here.
It's definitely like its own family.
It really is.
It's its own world inside of another world.
Yeah, it's a big change from what we used to have to what we have now. I can vouch for that, definitely. Also, yeah, the whole reason we wanted to do this podcast, I wanted to do a podcast for a while. Originally, I wanted to do one doing kind of like sobriety stuff, doing big book stories, AA stuff, but I've been so into the paranormal, and I've had my own experiences, and I know you have too, and I heard you talking about it, and I was like, this would be a fucking good idea.
Yeah,
if we did this.
I think we both just kind of like wanted to do something like this for a while, and it just kind of fell into each other that would actually work. But this has happened way faster than I assumed it would.
Yeah, I know.
So much faster. We already have such a following, and that means so much to us. Like, we're so thankful for everyone that's interested in seeing us go far with this podcast. So,
yeah, I think it's going to do pretty well. Not just in corrections and police, and but I think all first responders. That's who we want on. We want to talk to cops. We want to talk to paramedics. We want to talk to nurses. I don't know how it is in some of these other states. But we got this MAT program here in Maryland. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But I mean, that's just a Maryland thing. I don't know how it is in other states, but I know I put out a Facebook post yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday. Well, on 2 Facebook pages for corrections. And I asked, hey, has anybody had any kind of paranormal experience? If so, this is who I am. I want to do this podcast. It's called Shakedown Paranormal Podcast. If you have, just DM me. And my fucking phone blew up.
Yeah, like pretty much instantly. Like
Tons of fucking people.
Community is so large, and I think corrections, I mean, in general, first responders, I don't think get enough recognition. Yeah. It's always the negative side of things, and that's not at all like the, I guess, general idea of like law enforcement and first responders. I think society doesn't have enough exposure to like, I guess, experiences for some, whether you are a road deputy or if you're working in a correctional facility or even if you're working in like the medical field, like firefighters and so on. I think just getting people out there and exposing like what it's actually like to be somebody who is inside of those fields and what we deal with on a daily would be good for like people to, I guess, know.
Yeah, it's good for morale, I think.
It definitely helps around. I think it also gets the exposure to people for this job because no one knows what like a correctional officer is. No one knows what a police officer does other than what they see in, I guess, like TV or a movie, and that, obviously that's all just Hollywood for the most part.
Yeah.
But I think exposing all sides of the field and also like drawing in everyone's experiences, and then the paranormal side, like it's a lot bigger than people realize. And well, most of these jails, like at least in the United States, are dated, you know, it started in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And then continued. And I mean, sure, not most are still at least standing, but all have started at a basis of that. And the amount of like things that happen in a jail from the mental health side and just the negativity stays inside of these walls.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what draws the paranormal side out too.
I think so. I think it gets trapped in. And, I mean, yeah, just from reading some of the stuff that people were sending in about some of their experiences, so similar to experiences that I've had, where, like, I'll start with, I mean, when I was a kid, the house I grew up in, I could sit in my living room, and at night, if I sat at this one spot near a door, and I listened inside of my kitchen, I could hear people talking, even though nobody was home. And I didn't have a lot of neighbors. Like, it was kind of it was the suburbs, but, you know, I know what my neighbors would sound like. It sounded like people whispering. It was just so fucking creepy.
And you were probably at the age where like no adult actually like believed you.
Yeah. But then my sister heard it too.
You know, they're both crazy.
Yeah. So, we were both crazy. And then when I was in Georgia, I was stationed at Fort Stewart in Georgia. And the apartment that my ex-wife and I were in, we would have things move around, just randomly. Chairs move out while we were sleeping. I'd go run out, nothing there. TV would go on and off. One time, TV kept going on and off and on and off and on and off. And I go in to the living room area, and I'm like in my boxers. And I think I had like a metal pipe. And I'm walking in, and I could feel, it felt like I was walking into cotton candy. I don't know how else to explain it, but I wasn't scared. My ex-wife was scared. I wasn't scared. Feeling it, it just felt peaceful. So I don't think that was anything demonic or
evil.
Yeah, nothing like that. I think it was. Honestly, I really don't know what it was.
I think explaining it to somebody who has never experienced any type of exposure to something like that, like it's one of those things that's like you don't believe it until you see it or until you experience something like that. And if you're just in a normal, like, society job, I guess, it's not very, I don't know what the word would be.
Well, I went back to work and I was telling my buddies, who were all grunts, and I'm saying, there was something in my house, and I walked through it like cotton candy, and they're like, "Oh, you fucking pussy! You didn't kill it." No, I didn't kill it because it wasn't there. I didn't know. You couldn't see anything.
Well, I think people are like scared too, like to maybe admit the fact that there's that possibility of something out there or something that is not normal to like every day.
I think so. But yeah, but working here, the first year that I worked here, I walked out of the jail to go smoke a cigarette. So I walk out of the jail, walk out the front door, and I walk to the right. And to the right side of the building is the historic jail that was built in 1837.
Right, like another facility, like most jails started in the 1800s. I mean, jails have been around for forever. It's just a more standardized way, I guess.
Yeah. So I walk over, and then the second floor, I can see somebody in there, and it's like 11 o'clock at night, and there's nobody in that building. And I see somebody in there. So I go back, and I tell my lieutenant, I'm like, "Hey, there's somebody in that building, that old jail." He's like, "Yeah, there's nobody in there. It's fucking vacant. Ain't nobody there." So I'm like, "I'm telling you, man, I saw somebody in that window." Sure shit, we went over there, there was nobody in there. That scared me. I saw a black mass when I was in Unit 90. I walk into the unit, and this thing turned just like a ball, like a size of a dog, like a Rottweiler. Kind of faces towards me, and then whips around the corner and goes down the hall where all the inmates were. And it took me about 10 seconds to muster up the fucking courage to walk down there because I still have a fucking job to do. I gotta make sure these people are safe. So I'm like, okay. Oh my God, it's okay. So I walk, and I go down there, and I get to 93, which is the third cell down in the corner. And there's a girl at the bars. And she goes, "Please tell me you saw that thing." And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "What are we going to do?" And I said, "I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm going to get the fuck out of here." So I turned around and left. And that was it for that. And then I got touched my head and my neck down in the kitchen area here at the jail. That was creepy as shit. I got video. I mean, you can't see anything. Obviously, it's just me like, "What the fuck?" And then kind of running away. But yeah.
I think it's okay, guys. He's a little jumpy.
I was very jumpy. But yeah. So those are my experiences with paranormal, and I want to hear everybody else's stories too. Like, I want to know about police, other people in corrections. I want to hear your stories.
Things that you've showed up on, or cases you've walked into. It could be experiences inside of the jail, on the road, or in your personal life. Just any type of experiences we're very interested in learning about.
There was a guy that said, he wrote me, and one of the things he said was, I've got all kinds of experiences. My ex-girlfriend's house had a portal to hell. And I said, fuck yes.
We need to know.
I
We
need
have
to
got
know
to know.
about that. I have to know about a portal to hell.
I think
He's got to come on. Or
at least called in.
we're going to try to do a Zoom or a Skype or FaceTime, whatever the fuck. We'll figure it out.
I think
Well,
like
that's
it's
something.
so it just like I guess it's interesting to see everyone's experiences and responses were primarily from the correctional side, but like to open it up to like even school teachers, you know, or I don't know, like hospitals, their experiences. Obviously, hospitals are going to have some sort of experiences in them.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of just overwhelming response from everyone that was on the correctional side, it's like you gotta wonder why. Like, why is it primarily in law enforcement? Is it because it is a negative like field to be in, and there is a lot of mental health issues, or is there other reasons to that? Is it because it's a darker field per se? Like, you gotta wonder.
Yeah.
Why is it primarily in law enforcement?
I don't know. And I think when I was looking up, because I had a bunch of people from Kentucky State Penitentiary get a hold of me, and I mean, you know about Gettysburg, because you worked up there, but like that area has a lot of limestone. They say limestone attracts that kind of stuff, kind
Like
of
spiritual.
holds in that negative energy. And a lot of these buildings, well, that's the building next door that we're going to eventually do a live in,
The old jail.
is extremely fucking creepy. And there's,
Guys, that was just
It's
a touch light.
and there's we pulled this up. The first one, all about the old jail that was built in 1837, with the 3-story structure. They built the gallows in 1874. All this info is from the Carroll County Historical Society, and you can find that online. They said, I thought this was funny. The Carrollton newspaper of December of 1837 noted one of the rooms in the debtor's apartment being finished. As we are informed, the prisoners were placed therein and remained there until Wednesday night, when they made their escape by prying open the top of the iron-grated door, sufficiently wide enough to enable them to creep through. And there being no persons occupying any part of the building, and the outer doors unfinished, they walked out and made their escape.
It makes sense. 100% makes sense. Like,
There's been some hangings, there's been all kinds of stuff over there. But there's also been a lot of escapes that I saw.
from the old jail, which
Surprising.
we plan to do obviously a live in the old jail and go over the history of that building, because particularly that building alone has so much, I guess, history to it. It was built in the 1800s.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous, and it's just so, even 100 years ago, things were so different from how they are now.
Yeah.
Like, it would never leave someone alone in any job.
Did you know that there was a law in 1825 that women could not be in prison.
I mean,
Fucking
makes
crazy.
sense.
Doesn't make sense.
Should be.
Well, it does because this is a small ass jail, and you couldn't put men and women together.
Well, and jails were just not like there wasn't consequences for actions. There wasn't so many things that you could get involved with or do to have consequences to like your actions. So
You see, you could go to jail for having bad debt, so I'd be locked up right now because I got.
but I mean, but back
credit.
in the day, that was considered something, you know, of a criminal act.
But here on what I found online on Patch, it says Westminster's most haunted, the old jail. It said 1844, staff at the local jail came to know a frequent visitor, Tom Parks, known as Big Tom. A large man, Tom had been arrested 4 times in 4 months and proved to be increasingly violent, as it took 2 deputies to control Big Tom. On his most recent charge of disturbing the peace, the sheriff began to wonder if it would be in their best interest to send Big Tom to the Baltimore Penitentiary. So on Christmas Eve of 1844, the sheriff was discussing the possible move with the deputy when Big Tom overheard that conversation. Becoming distraught, Big Tom committed suicide by slitting his own throat. This gets weird. When Dr. Zollikofer was summoned to the jail to examine the body, he asked if he could take Big Tom's head to use for his research in phrenology, the study of bumps on the head as compared to the person's personality. Zollikofer was given permission and Big Tom's body was buried without its head in a local cemetery.
That's crazy.
That's creepy as shit. Since that day, many claim to have seen large, lumbering, headless figure stumbling along in and around the old jail. The thing I saw in the old jail had a head.
So that
But if I saw something walking around without a fucking head, that's gonna scare the shit out of me.
See, so I guess like my experiences are I haven't really experienced anything here, at least yet. When I was in my early 20s, I lived at a farmhouse that was built in the 1800s, and that particular building was extremely haunted. And at the time, young and dumb, I just kind of paid no mind to certain things. But at one point in time, we had the person I was living with at the time had a small rocker, and that would just rock back and forth on occasion. And at one point in time, it was moved to the center of the room and then to another room when I'd come home. And then at one point in the night, there was a, loud noise, like a banging, which got the dogs all riled up. And then I went downstairs and the TV had flickered on and off, and it would do this at least for the next week or so. So, but young and dumb, I was just like, whatever, didn't really think anything of it. And then when I started working in the prison system at the facility that I was at, it's on the grounds of some extremely haunted things in history that I can't go into details about, but I was conducting a round, and at that time I was on night shift, considered graveyard shift, and the setup of the gym was a huge basketball court with a bunch of reflective windows. And at night there'd be a dim light on, but the rest of it would be off. But you could still see everything that was reflective in those windows, almost like a mirror, like a two-way mirror, for an investigative room. As I was walking along, all I saw was the silhouette of a person just follow from behind. And the whole time I was walking really fast, and I was nope, not doing this today. Hell to the no when I got out there. So that was extremely creepy. And then I worked with some other people that have had experiences in there as well. So I think it's interesting, everyone's experience to what they're exposed to. Whether they see something, they feel something, or they hear something. But I think it'll be really cool once we get others, especially for Carroll County Detention Center, in here who have had bizarre experiences in this building alone.
Yeah, we've got quite a few.
And even like photos and video. The video of the old jail alone is eerie, but it's also really cool because it's almost like going back in time.
Yeah.
Most of those buildings don't exist anymore.
No, but this is still technically the old side
like part of the jail
of Westminster, like old time Westminster. Mm-hmm. Like all of this was like Revolutionary War
era.
Yeah, this whole area was. The sheriff said something about. Well, I don't really want to get into it, but when we talked to him, I want him to talk.
I want him to give his rundown
of what happened back in the day when the sheriff's family
had lived in
the jail and what happened. Yeah, I don't want to get into it now.
Too much right now
because I really want him to tell it, and I want to ask him some questions about it. But yeah, if you have any stories, if you're a first responder, if you've got any kind of crazy story from, crazy to funny to paranormal, we want to hear it. We just set up an email account, so we want you to email us, and it's it's Shakedown Paranormal Pod at proton.me. That's Shakedown Paranormal Pod at proton.me. So,
and if you forget that email, you can always contact us through Facebook, which is our Shakedown Paranormal Podcast Facebook. And then we'll guide you or direct you into where to send, whether it's your stories or how to contact us. And go from there.
Yeah. Because we've already had, it's nuts. I think, I don't want to get, there's a really cool guest that we're going to have on. Well, two really cool guests that we're going to have on in the future here. And I don't want to give too much away, but I'm telling you, if you're listening to this on Spotify or if you're watching on YouTube, please like it, subscribe, comment, share that shit with as many people as you can.
And let us know what you want to hear. Like, let us know what you want to see. So on. I mean, we are open to all ears and eyes and ideas to things because this is new for us too, and we're just slowly learning this process. So
yeah, this is episode 1.
Yeah.
So
it's obviously going to be a struggle for this episode.
We're going to get our bearings as we go along,
and have a better setup.
I think from the get, we are going to have fucking banger episodes.
Yeah.
Coming out. I know for a fucking fact. It's going to be crazy.
But definitely shout out to the sheriff of Carroll County, James Louise. We're very thankful for being so supported, and to all the administration in Carroll County Detention Center.
Yeah.
Everyone has been extremely supportive. And
Captain Troy Stowart, who let us use his office to do this.
Yes, we're extremely thankful, and we are definitely super excited to get this started.
And we're going to put everything back the way we found for the most part.
I might take this lamp though.
Yeah, that is amazing.
It's a nice touch. So, just stay tuned. Bear with us for at least a little while.
Yeah.
But we'll try to get out an episode. Definitely an episode a month. But the first month we'll probably get out a few, I think. But once we start getting the interviews started, we'll go maybe an episode a month or maybe two. It just depends. Obviously, life's busy. We both work the graveyard shift, so
True.
we'll get out to you. We'll reach out to you and we'll respond. Just give us time.
Yeah, this is our passion. It's what we want to do. So, yeah, again, send it in. If you got any kind of story, send it in to us and contact us, and we'll try to get you on. We'll try to eventually try to get this computer hooked up.
Set up. Hopefully,
and
recorded everything we sent today.
We can finally get all this done and start having some people on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that's it, though.
yeah.
Thanks for hanging with us this morning or evening, whenever you're listening to it. This is the Shakedown Paranormal Podcast.
Thanks for listening to Shakedown Paranormal Podcast. Remember, stay safe, stay creepy.